So good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you for the today's lab session of machine learning assignments. So far, we have seen we have completed the first assignment, which was basically exploratory data analysis on the heart attack data set. And then we have seen how to create a confusion matrix for the problem statement given, which was based on the COVID-19 analysis. Positive patients and negative patients count was given to us, and based on that, we have created the confusion matrix. And then after creating the confusion matrix, we determine the different metrics of the confusion matrix, such as accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 measure. Right. So for some problem, we have seen that precision is important. For some task, the recall is important. Okay, so it depends on the task that what is the expected value of the recall. So preferably the applications like medical domain applications where you are predicting whether the person is having disease or not, may it be a cancer, may it be a tumor cancer, may it be a COVID test, okay, whether the person is positive or negative. So all these are the sensitive task or sensitive application where we want the high recall and high precision, right? And whenever we want the high recall and high precision, we will also calculate the F1 measure, which is basically the harmonic mean between the precision and recall. Why I am telling you this? Because see, this is very important part. Somebody from you who want to do their career in the data science or maybe in the machine learning field, for them these basics, these fundamentals are very important, because these fundamentals will help you to uh, I mean to give the solutions or to give the choices to your customer, right? So you will ask your customer that what you want, whether you want the false positive rate to be high or true positive rate to be high, what you want, okay, maybe. So based on this you can create a dialogue with your customers, and that's the reason this precision, recall, F1 measure, and accuracy, they plays an important role. So first, the in the yesterday's theory session, or the last two theory sessions, we have seen how to assess the performance of classification task or classifier, and this confusion matrix, it helps you to assess the performance of classification task of a classifier. Okay, but how do we assess the performance of regression task? So first we'll try to understand a very brief theory of linear regression and how to assess the performance of linear regression classifier. So linear regression is also one kind of classifier. Only the task that we can solve using the linear regression model is the regression task. So we know how do we classify or how do we differentiate between the regression task and classification task. So classification task has discrete values. It has the categorical value, discrete value. However, in regression task, the output has the continuous values. So first I will explore you the second assignment, and then we'll go to the uh, brief theory about the linear regression, and then we'll start straight away with the Jupyter notebook for implementation of this second assignment. So this is the first assignment what we have seen. We have done some exploratory analysis on this hard data set in the last week, and this statement was given. Based on this, we have created the confusion matrix, and we computed or determined this uh, accuracy parameters, matrix of confusion matrix. So this is the second assignment. So this second assignment, in which we have to download the temperature data set from the Kaggle website. This data set, it consists of the temperature of India as well as averaging the temperature of all the places month wise, and the temperature values, they are recorded in the Celsius. Our task is we have to apply the linear regression model using some suitable library function of Python, and then predict the month wise temperature, and then assess the performance of regression model using mean square error, mean absolute error, and R square matrix. So these are the measures of regression models: mean square error, mean absolute percentage error, this is also called as MEP, mean absolute percentage error, and R square error. Okay, so these are the metrics to evaluate the performance of regression task. It is same as we have seen how do we use the accuracy, precision, recall, F1 measure of confusion matrix, and this confusion matrix, it is used to assess the performance of classification task. However, perhaps this MSE, MAE, and R square, they are used to assess the performance of regression model. And then we have to visualize the simple linear regression model. So these are the three tasks. So before we start the implementation, I think I realized, or I felt that why don't to explore you some of the basics of linear regression. How many from you knows the linear regression? I want that first. I want to know that. You can unmute your mic and please. How many of you know the linear regression or linear regression models? How they work? Do you know? Vishal Hire, Nikita Borse, Nehal Jagtap, Chetna Chaudhary. Can you unmute? Am I audible to all? Purvi? Purvi Patil?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Purvi, can you tell me, do you know the linear regression? आपने इसके पहले पढ़ा है क्या लीनियर रिग्रेशन? पूर्वी, आई एम आस्किंग यू.
Yes, sir, but
Yes, unmute your mic and please go ahead.
sir, I don't know much about it.
Okay, so Krisha is saying something. Let me read this. Okay. So Krisha is saying that depends on the variable value. So output is depend on the input. Okay. So we'll see the linear regression model. I hope this is visible to all of you. Is it visible? See, I am sharing the screen, so I cannot see the chat box at the same time. So anybody from you can unmute and please let me know the screen is visible to all.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, fine. So first, in next couple of minutes, we'll try to understand what is linear regression. So dear friend, linear regression, it is basically a statistical model which is used to predict the relationship between your dependent variable and independent variable. Okay. So the first factor is in understanding the linear regression is which variable in particular are significant predictor of the outcome variable. That means which are your input variable, and these input variables, they are basically responsible for generating the output. So this input variable, they are also called as predictors, regressors, or independent variables. Remember, in regression, your input variable is called as predictor, regressor, or independent variable. And then the second factor is how significant is the regression line to make the prediction with the highest possible accuracy. So regression model, it actually generates a linear regression line on the hyperplane. Okay, the line which allows us to perform the classification of our input. So input is my feature vector actually, d-dimensional feature vector. Fine. So let's go. So the simplest form of simple linear regression equation with one dependent variable and one independent variable, it is always represented by, we know that this is the equation of line. Y is equal to m into x or mx plus c. Now, regression in machine learning, this equation is always represented as y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 into x, where c is represented as beta 0 and m is represented as beta 1. So one and same, only when you go through the any machine learning textbook or reference book, you will found this equation is rearranged or it is re-represented using some different notations, but the meaning remains same. So c is represented as beta 0 and m is represented as beta 1, just for the sake of understanding. Now we'll see what is this y, m, x and c. So y is very clear. Y is on the left hand side, that means it is its value, it is dependent on the right hand side, so that's why it is called as dependent variable. Now x is independent variable. So x, value of x does not depend on m, c and y. It is an independent value, and that's why it is called as independent variable. Whereas this m, basically it represented as the slope of this line. How do we get the slope of the line? That we'll see later in the upcoming slide. So we'll take the uh, the slope of line. It is calculated as the difference in the highest value, or you can see that the mean of your x-axis and y-axis. So that gives you the slope of the line. Okay. Plus c is basically the coefficient of line. So c decides what? C decides at which point this linear line it will intercept the y-axis. So this point is called as the intercept or coefficient of the line. However, this slope is basically the m. It is represented by m. So slope of the line is represented by m. So we got the equation. Let's go further. Now let's say that how we will try to understand how the prediction is easier using the regression line. So we have been given a problem that we have plotted the amount of crop yield, which is based on the amount of rainfall. So the amount of crop yield or the growth in the crop yield, it depends on what is the amount of rainfall in that year. Okay, so that is basically given us. So this data set is a trained data set. So let's see, we will try to build a linear line or a linear regression model. So linear regression model, we know that this is a simple linear line on a hyperplane, x and y hyperplane. So this is my linear regression line. So the red point, this red point on the y-axis, it is the amount of crop yield you can expect for some amount of rainfall, and x or this green point, it is the rainfall. Okay, it is the rainfall. Okay, the amount of rainfall, maximum amount of rainfall. So these are the two extreme points on the x and y axis. Okay, so let's see how uh, how do we build the linear regression line. Linear regression line कैसे build करते हैं, right? So let's consider a sample data set of 5 samples. So 5 samples means there are 5 rows, and because we are solving this, this is a basically simple linear regression. That means we have only one feature in the data set. So that means we have one independent variable and there is another dependent variable. So we have 5 by 2 matrix. So the size of my table is 5 by 2, 5 rows and 2 columns. Okay. And using this, we will find out how to draw the linear regression line. So we will plot this point, all these 5 samples onto the x and y plane. Okay, so this is my x independent variable and this is my y axis, which shows the dependent variable. Okay, so my first point is, value of my first point x and y is 1 and 2. So 1 and 2. Okay, so at x-axis it is 1 and at y-axis it is 2. So this is my first point. Same way I have plotted the second point whose value is 2 comma 4. So this is 2 and at y-axis it is 4. So my second point is plotted here. The third point is plotted here, so as the fourth point and fifth point. Now let us draw let us first find out the mean of this x column and y column. So mean, how do we calculate the mean? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 5. So the mean of my x, this first column is 3 and the mean of my fourth column is 4. Okay, fine. So now we will plot the mean, this mean point on this axis. So where we will plot it? So my x mean, the value, the mean point or the mean value of x axis is 3 and the mean value of y axis is 4. So they are intersecting here, right? So that means this is my mean point and I got the slope of my line. So now I will draw the line which will pass through this point, Okay, so this is my linear regression line. I'll just skip this for some time being. So, and this is the point where my linear regression line, it intercepts the y-axis. Okay, and this is my mean point, whose value is 3 comma 4. Okay, now what is the error made by this line? Now actually we are expecting that this point, whenever I draw the line, when the point is lie on the line, whenever the sample point, if it is lie on this line, then we will say that the point has no error. But if the point is away from the line, then indicates that there is some error for that point. So line made some error for that point. So how do we calculate the error made by the line for the point or for the sample? So the distance of sample, so this is, let's say that this is the first sample. So this is the first sample. So the distance of this sample from this line is nothing but the error made by this line to this point. And the same way we will calculate the error made by the line for all these points. So this distance, it indicates the error for the first point. This error indicates the error for the second point, so as the third, fourth and fifth. So this is what the prediction of the line we have calculated. Okay. Now we have decided some threshold value 0.6. So if the point, the value of the point, if it is lie below that point, then we will classify to the negative point or positive point. If the value of the point, if it is above that threshold value, then we will classify that point to the another class. Let's say that this is negative side and this is positive side, and this is the threshold that we got. Okay, so any point that lie on this part of this line will be classified as positive, and to this side of to this part of the line will be classified as negative. So these are the actual values and these are the predicted values of this point by our linear regression model. ये लाइन ने इसी सभी सैंपल्स के फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड, 5 हर एक सैंपल का ये प्रेडिक्शन है. Now, how do we calculate the error? So error is calculated as the difference of actual value of that. So y minus y pred will give you the error. So error for the first point is minus 0.8. So as the second is 0.6. So 4 minus 3.4 will be 0.6, 5 minus 4 will be 1, 4 minus 4.6 will be minus zero point 0.6 and zero point 0.2. And then we will take a sum of square error. So take a square of this error, take a square of this error, take a square of this error, and so as take a square of all these errors, and then take a sum of all this column. So the sum of all this column is 2.4, and here we got the first performance measure value for this linear regression model, which is called as sum of square error, SSE. And once you calculated the SSE, then you can calculate the MSE. So MSE means what? Mean square error. So when you take the when you divide this sum of square error by the total number of samples, that is 5, then that will give you the mean square error. And how do we calculate this mean square error? I will give you the formula for that. But is pretty large or pretty big. Okay, it's high. Okay, so can we draw some other line which so that we can minimize this sum of square error? So you keep on changing the position of line. So you just keep the position of line towards the upward direction and see whether the error is reduced. If your error is reduced, that means if your error is less than this values 2.4, because this 2.4 value, it becomes now standard for us. Okay, we will keep this value in our mind, and then we change our linear regression model. So when you move the this linear regression model or linear line upward direction, and if you found that the sum of square error is reduced, then we keep on moving the line above in the upward direction till we will reduce the error at the lowest. Okay, and this is what we can call as the least square error method. This is one of the model used this is one of the widely used linear regression model, okay, which is called as least square error method, where the objective is to minimize the square error by changing the learning parameter, or by taking the different learning parameter and moving the line across the hyperplane so that the error will get reduced. So this line is called as which has the minimum sum of square error is called as best fit line. Remember, this is the best fit line. This is best fitted regression line. So that's it from my end. This is just a quick overview. So I took 15 minutes to finish this. Now let's start with our implementation part. Okay, so we have to use this Kaggle dataset. So when you open this site, it will navigate to this dataset. Here you can download this dataset. So this is 12 KB datasets, and some description is available. So some details is available. So this data consists of the temperature of India from 1901 to 2017. And this data is published by the Indian government. The temperature values, they are recorded in the Celsius actually. And we will try to explore this data set. So you can download this data set. I have already downloaded this data set on my machine. So one way to upload this data set in the Jupyter Notebook is you can click here and just your data set is there. So my data set is here. And when you click on upload, this data set will get uploaded in the Jupyter Notebook. I have already uploaded this data set, so I'm not going to upload it. Okay, and then open a Python script. So I have already created a script for all of you. Well, so these are some of the libraries that we need to import. So because we are going to create a plot, So we are using Matplot, this library. Then we are creating the data frames. So we have used the pandas is used to create the data frames. And then Seaborn library, this is again, it is used to create the bar plot, pie charts, so on and so forth. So Seaborn library, it is built actually on top of this matplotlib. And as SNS, this is the abbreviation of this library that we want for this script, as well as this PD is abbreviation for pandas, and PLT is the abbreviation for this package called pyplot from the matplotlib library. So that's it. So I'll run it. Then the next part is you have to import the data set from the, you can import it from your Jupyter notebook. Or if you do not want to load here in the notebook, and if you want to directly access it in the Jupyter notebook, or in this Python script directly from your local machine, then simply you have to give the path. So I'll just give the path. So this library, it's there. Sorry, this temperature data set, it's there on my desktop machine. I have to go here actually, user, IT, and then desktop, and then followed by the name of your library. So I'll just type the name of the data set, and we will import it into this new data frame. We have created a data frame. We want this data set into this data frame data. Okay, so let's run this. So it gives the error. Okay, so this Unicode is not supported, so that means we have to change it. This error. So we have done with this. If you want to directly copy it from the this website, just do one thing. Just copy this, and in double quotes, you just type the path of this browser, this website, this web location, and then followed by the name of your data set, and just run. Okay, it's giving some error. Right. Okay, I think it is now taking in this way. And then finally the name of dataset. Okay.
Sir, actually, you have not ended it with double quotes. Starting, you have done with
Yeah,
double quotes.
right,
And ending.
right. Just change it. End of while scanning string literals, right? Thank you. Okay. So, but still it's giving the error. Okay, HTTP error 404 not found. Anyways, I think we need to use some other libraries or maybe some package for it. Anyways, I'll just keep it because I have already uploaded this data set uh, on the Jupyter notebook. So I'll just keep it. So I have downloaded the data set. Later on, I'll share this, how to import the data set from the website itself in the Python. So using this data.head function, we know that we will just display the first few rows of your data set. Okay, so by default, it will show you the five rows or five samples, first five samples of your data set. If you want to see some more, then you have to just specify the total number of rows that you want to display. Okay, so I have specified the first 8 rows I want to display, and these are the description, or you can say the dataset structure. So these are the columns. The first column indicates the year and so on. The next 12 column, it indicates the month name. Okay. So for every year, this is the average temperature recorded into the January. Then in the February, this is the average temperature recorded in the Celsius, degree Celsius, and then April, so on till the December. And this annual column, it shows the average temperature of all these 12 months for that particular year. Okay, for that corresponding year. So in 1901, the average temperature of India for all the 12 months, including all the cities. Now, this temperature, these are actually the average temperature recorded from all the cities of India, and it has been recorded for the January month, and then the average of all this temperature is taken, so which was 22.40. So like this, this is done for all the months, and this is basically the average temperature in degree Celsius for the India in 1901. Now these are the average temperature for the different quarters for that year. So this is for the first quarter, this is for the second quarter, third quarter, and this is for the last quarter, that is October to December. And this thing is there for all the, I mean to say that for all the years. So let us see what are the last rows. So I'll just display some last rows. So I'll just display the last 3 rows. Okay, so these are the last 3 rows. So can somebody tell me how many samples are there in this data set? These are the first rows, and these are the last 3 rows. Can you tell me how many samples are there in the data set?
116.
Wrong. Can you please see it carefully? It is not 116. You are very close.
117.
117, because it starts from 0, so it is 117. Right. Okay, and yeah, fine. That's it. Now we'll see what are the uh, what type of values are hold inside of each of these columns. हर एक कॉलम में कौन से टाइप्स के वैल्यू है? So this can be explored using this uh, object called dtypes. See, this is dtypes. It is not a method, or it is not a function. It is an object which tells you what are the types of the values that are hold in each of this column. So I'll just click here. So data.dtypes, it will show you. So the first column, it consists of integer value, integer 64, and all the remaining column has the data type of float 64. Fine. Then we'll go to the shape of our data set. So shape of the data set, what it indicates? It indicates how many rows and how many columns are there in your data set. So what you've seen here, it gives you just the shape of your data set, number of rows and number of columns. So it says that there are total 117 rows and 18 columns. And if you want to see what is the mean value of each column, what is the first quantile, what is the second quantile, what is the variance in the first column, then what is the standard deviation, so on and so forth. If you want to see all these values, you can use this function called describe, which gives you the description of each of these column. And when we see the description, whenever our variables or our features has the range of values. Okay, whenever the features or the columns or the variables, input variables, when they have, or these are the independent variables, whenever our independent variables has range of value or a scales, numeric scales, then we use this describe function, which gives you the range of values for your uh, independent variable. So now, typically all the columns, they are referred as the independent variable, because we have not specified which is my dependent and which is my independent. So all the 18 columns, they will be interpreted as the independent variable, and it will show you the count. So there are total 117 values in this first column. The mean of this first column is 1959. The standard deviation is 33.91. Mean value is 1901. First quartile value or first quantile value is 1930, and so on. These second quartile, third quartile, and the maximum value. Okay, so this is actually the scaling. Okay, this is the description of each of your independent variable. And why this description is shown? Because all the independent variable, all these 18 independent variable, right away from year to last column, that is October to December, average temperature of India for a specific year. These all the columns, they have some range of value, and that's the reason we are determining or we are describing this. Okay, fine. Then we'll see whether any missing value is there in my data set or not. Okay, so data frame in which I have all the rows and columns, and I want to see whether any missing value is there or not. So to check whether the data has missing value, we have seen in the last last lab session, that is null function is used. And if you want to see how many missing values are there in the data set, then dot sum function is used, which will count the number of missing values in your data set. So I'll just go and click here. So for every column, it will show you the missing value. So for year, there is no missing value all the way to the last column, that is 18 column. So that means in my data set, there are no missing values. Otherwise, this figures will be some positive values, okay, non-zero values. Okay, so they are zero. That means there are no missing values in the data set. Okay, fine. Now I want to see that, because this data set, it shows you the average temperature. This column, annual column, it shows you the average temperature for every year, and this data set is created for the 117 years, right from 1901 to 2017. Till the 2017, we have the average temperature of India, which is recorded in degree Celsius. Okay, this is recorded in Celsius. Fine. Why I clearly mention here Celsius? Because if you look at the other data sets, the global data sets, then the global data sets, the temperature, it is measured in Fahrenheit. Okay. Well, so now I want to see that which are the, in which year the average temperature, this average temperature or annual temperature of India, it goes high, right? Or I want to see which are those first top 5 years in which the annual temperature was high. So to do that, what we will do is, so I have created this object. Now, using this n largest function, I will access the top 5 years in which the temperature, the average temperature was very high. Okay. So I will change this value. I'll make it annual, because I want to know which top 10 years in which the annual temperature or the average temperature, average annual temperature in a particular month was high, or in a particular year was high. Okay. Then we use this figure function. So figure function, it will specify the size of your plot on the output screen. Okay. So aapka plot, if you do not specify it, then maybe some of the parameters of your plot, they are not properly visible if you are creating a big size plot. Okay, so typically for a big size plot, we use this function called as big figure, figure method of a plot class, and we specify the figure. This is basically the contour of your plot. Okay, the size of contour of your plot. Fine. And then this is the title, actually, title of our plot. And here we are creating the bar plot using this library, or using this, you can say, package called Seaborn. Okay, so bar plot are created using this library called Seaborn. And I told you, Seaborn library, it is built on top of matplotlib library. And why it is used? So this Seaborn library is used for more data exploration. Okay, for a detailed exploratory analysis of your data, you can use the Seaborn library. So I'll just pass on the first argument, that is X argument, which will be top 10 data. So I am accessing the year from this data. यहाँ पे क्या आ गया? So from this data library, and we are calculating the top 10 years using this annual column. So we will look the annual column to find the 10 largest value. Okay, and based on that, those 10 samples, including all the column values, we are copying them into the top 10 data. So top 10 data में क्या है? Top 10 data, this variable, it includes the 10 samples whose annual value, that means whose average temperature value is high amongst other samples. लेकिन top 10 data में सभी columns है, all the 19 columns. But this top 10 samples we got, we have extracted them using this average temperature value. Okay. So now from this top 10 data, I am extracting two columns. I just want to show the year and the average temperature in that year. So I am extracting only year column and annual column from this object. So let's run this now. So now you can see, here is my top 10 average, top 10 years in which the average temperature was high. Okay, so this is the annual temperature recorded in Celsius, degree Celsius, and these are the top 10 years in which the average temperature was very high. Now amongst these top 10 years, can you tell me which one is can you tell me? I'll just minimize it once again. Can you tell me which year has the highest average temperature amongst these top 10? क्योंकि yes, can you repeat your answer? 2016. Very good, very nice. Which is the second largest year, second top 10 year in which average temperature? 2017. Now why this plot has showing this value 2016 and 17 at the end? Because when it gets the top 10 countries, or sorry, top 10 years, okay, it sorted in ascending order, and you can see here 1925, 2001, 2002, all the way to 2017. So ये सभी 10 values, 10 samples को उसने sort किया है according to their years, and that's the reason you can see here 2016 and 17 at the end. But 2016 and 2017, these are the top 2 years in which average temperature was very high. And just okay, great. Now you can see, you can change these parameters as well. If you want to see the top 5 years in which whose average temperature in some specific month is very high, out of all these 117 years, 1901 से 2017 तक अप्रैल में कौन से ईयर को सबसे ज्यादा टेम्परेचर हाई था? अप्रैल मंथ में, राइट? बिकॉज अप्रैल एंड मे दीज आर टिपिकली कंसिडर्ड एज अ समर period, okay, in India. So I'll just see May. Okay, so we'll see which are those top 5 years in which the average temperature in the May month was very high. So let us, and I'll also minimize this slide, but anyway, I'll just show you. So which are those year? So in 1921, 2001, 2002, 2016, and 2017. So 2016 and 17, they are, and 1921. These are the 3 years, and they are moreover. You can say that, yeah, no, 2001 and 2002. I'll just minimize it just to see the plot. Okay, so these are the top 3 years. I think in 1921, the temperature in the May was very highest as compared to 2016 and 17. So 2016 and 17, they are marginal. There is a marginal difference in the average temperature in the May month. Okay, so like this, you can perform the data analysis on this data set. You can see for the December, you can see for the November in the winter period, or maybe in the rainy season in the July. Let me first check what is the name of the column. Okay, so it is JUL, so which shows you the temperature in the July, and then I'll just simply click on here. So yeah, so this orange line is sees it's bigger than all other lines. So that means in 2002, it was good rain in India as compared to all other years, or in the last century as well as in the last decade. You can say only this year the India has good rain in India. Based on, no, sorry, not good rain. I'm extremely sorry. The temperature was very high in July. Sorry, we are actually, this shows the average temperature in the country. So I'm extremely sorry. Let me correct it. Okay, fine. Or you can also see for the quarters, different quarters of the year. So Jan to Feb, this is first quarter. March to May, this is second quarter. June to September, this is third quarter, and October to December, this is fourth quarter. So you can see for October to December, you can see generally in the winter period the temperature drop downs. So we'll see uh, in which year the average temperature in the winter period in India was heavily dropped down. Okay, what was it? It was October hyphen December. It was right actually. OCT dash DEC. DC is not defined. There, the DC is. Let me take DC. Let me check it. Okay, for DC it is showing. Okay, sorry. We have not mentioned here. Yeah, to pick here. Is not showing for this quarter. I'll just, yes. Anybody want to suggest anything? Yes, somebody's mic is unmute. Will you please unmute your mic? For the quarter value, it is not showing. I'll just come back to it later on. Okay, so now we will see, we'll try to plot uh, the, we will try to create a plot for some specific year. Okay, so what was the value of average temperature for some specific month in the specified year? So we want to create a data analysis of this 2016 year. So from data and from year, okay, we have uh, actually copied this value. Okay, and these are the xtick. We are creating a np array. So from data underscore 2006, we are importing these values from this different column: January, February, March, April, all the way. And ytick also, ytick is equal to Jan, February, March, April, because we are creating these two arrays. These are the two array. We know that np is what? It is a numpy array. Whenever you want to create some array in a Python, we will use this library called numpy. So np is the abbreviation of numpy. Okay, so let's create it. Okay, and now uh, we will create a bar plot which actually shows you the month-wise temperature data for 2016. Okay, so let's, so it will show you the month-wise data for 2016. Okay, do you understood? Can we do it for the another year? We can also see, because in 16 and 17, these are the highest years in which the average temperature in India was very high. I'll just run this and then we'll run this as well. Just change this label, plot label, title of the plot. Okay, and this is the month-wise temperature. So this y-axis, it shows the temperature in a, for a corresponding month in a Celsius, degree Celsius, and x-axis it represents the month. So in January, the average temperature was somewhere around 27.5. In February, it reaches to 30. In March, it was 33. In April, it was 35. And in May, you can see the average temperature was very high. And from this data, from this graph, from this bar chart, you can see that uh, due to the global warming, due to the unawareness of the environment, uh, there was significant rise in the average temperature in India. Okay, so in 2017 it was at the peak. Now, if you, this is by default, it will show you the bar plot. This is vertically. If you want to see the bar plot horizontally, you have to just make the changes here. So plot dot figure, as I already mentioned, this shows you the size. Okay, and plot plt dot bar, so it will create a bar plot. If you want to create a bar plot horizontally, just mention the value here h, so it will create a horizontal bar plot. You can see now here. So in the May, the value was very high. So it this is a convenient way to create a bar plot, so easily you can understand here. Okay. I'll just keep it as it is vertically so that everybody can understand. Okay, so this is plot dot title. You can give the title into the double quotes. X label in double quotes, you can specify the x-axis label, and using y label you can write the y-axis label. So that is what I did. Now this is what the analysis we have done. Now we are going to create a linear regression model. So do you need a 2 minutes break? Do you need a 2 minutes break? Where are you? Okay. Do you need a 2 minutes break so far? There is any problem? Krisha? No? So you want 2 minutes break or shall I continue? Okay, no problem. But what about others? I want the answer from all of you. You people were not present for the last lab session which I took on Tuesday. आप सभी लोग एब्सेंट थे ना, मतलब आपके बैच का नहीं था वो. Was there somebody? Purvi, did you attended the Tuesday's practical?
No, sir.
Okay, that's good. Because I clearly specified in the message that only batch 2 students will join the meeting. You belong to batch 1. Okay, I'll go back. Now we'll see how to build the linear regression model. Now we will come to our first task, that is building a linear regression model and predicting the month-wise temperature. Okay. So now what I do is to see or to calculate this performance model parameter, regression models parameter matrix, in fact, mean square error, MAE, R square error. I will use this library from the scikit-learn package, which is called as matrix, as well as I will also import the linear model from the scikit library. So linear model, this package has the different linear models which are used for classification task as well as linear regression task. Okay, so let us go ahead. Then data columns, I'm not going to show you this actually. Anyways, it will show you how many data columns are there. Fine. Now what I will do is I'm going to build the linear regression model for the month January. Similarly, you can build the linear regression model for February, March, April, May, June. So month wise, we have to build the linear regression model. Or else you can take a for loop and you can take this entire code into a for loop, so that for every month it will show you the prediction of our linear regression model. But specifically for a demonstration purpose, I will tell you how we build a model to predict the average temperature. Average temperature, I mean annual wala column, right? So to predict the annual temperature for the January month. Okay. So now what I will do is, so we are going to predict the average temperature for all the years for the January month. Ye wala column. I'll just go back. This one. So this is already there. ये तो data set में है. लेकिन मैं अब क्या करूँगा? I'm going to build a linear regression model, and my linear regression model will predict the average temperature in the 1901, 1902, 1903, 1904, so on, for all the 117 samples. And then we will see what is the difference between prediction and actual. Do you understood? Do you understood? Okay. So what I will do, I will keep the prediction. क्या करना है मुझे? The average temperature in the January column. Okay, the average temperature in the January month, sorry. Okay, and my input will be the years. Well, so specifically, I have copied this year from the data frame data into a variable called X and January into variable called Y. So I will run these two lines. Fine. So in X, I am having years, and in Y, I am having January column. So this is my data actually into two different data frames. These are two different data frames. So X is become different data frame which consists of years, And y is my another data frame in which my January samples are there. Average temperature for all the years for the January month is there. Okay, fine. Now, to split the data set into train and test, from this X, I want 80% samples to be in the train data set, and 80% from this Y data frame into uh, train data set. Okay. So X train and Y train. So that means clearly I have to create two different data sets from these two data frame X and Y. Okay. So to split the data set into train and test data set, we are going to use this library called as train underscore test underscore split from the sciencekit library, which has specific package called model underscore selection. ये package से ये वाला function हम import करने वाले हैं, train underscore test underscore split. So this train underscore test underscore split, it will create four data frames. Two data frames which will be X train and Y train, and another two data frames will be X test and Y test. Okay, fine. So now all these four data frames, I'm going to store it in X train underscore X test, Y train underscore Y test. So X का जब वो split करेगा, when it split the X data frame into 80-20 percentage, if you see to this test underscore train underscore test underscore split function, we have supplied these two data frames X and Y, and the percentage of split that we have specified here. Here it is clearly mentioned that test size, which is specified as 0.2, that means we want 80-20 percentage split. So 0.2 means 20% we want in the test size. So remaining 80% will go into the train. Okay, fine. So that means 80% of this X data frame will go into the X train, and remaining 20% will go into X test. Similarly, 80% of this Y data frame will go into Y train, and remaining 20% will go into Y test. After splitting this X and Y data frame using this percentage of split is the probability of split is 0.2. Okay. Sorry, it's not probability. The percentage of split is 0.2. Fine. So let us run this. Okay. So first we'll see there what's there in the X train. Let us run. So it will show you the years, because we know that in X data frame we have the years. So it will show you. So there are 93 samples. That means out of 117, 93 samples for the first column year, we have extracted them into X train data frame. This is one more data frame. Similarly, you can also explore the X test. So that means there are 24 samples, remaining 24 samples, they are in this X test data frame. So if you just minimize the screen, then it will show. Then we'll see the Y train and Y test. So what's there in the Y train? We'll just explore them. So there are total 93 rows in Y train, and it shows the average temperature in these 93 samples. And similarly, in the Y test, we have kept these 24 samples aside for testing the quality of our machine learning model. Fine. I'll just keep this. I've shown you everything here.
Then, sir, what was that 80% and 20%?
So 80% data samples, we are importing them into the train data set, and remaining 20% are went into the test data set. Now 80% samples are used to build the linear regression model. Okay, we will build the linear regression model using this X train and Y train. So X train is my, you can say that this is your input. and Y train is the output. And these both X train and Y train, they forms a data set, train data set. And there are 80% samples of this X and Y in this X train and Y train. And this X train and Y train will be used to build the machine learning model. So now this says the size. Size हमने क्या specify की है? 0.2. What is the second parameter? Test underscore size. So that means ये टेस्ट डेटा में कितने सैंपल्स जाएंगे उसका परसेंटेज यहाँ पे स्पेसिफाई कर रहे हैं. सो परसेंटेज इज 0.2, दैट मीन्स 20%. सो 117 का आप 20% लोगे, so that means 93 samples you can see here. I'll just show you for train. So 93 samples, they are into the train data set. ये दोनों में जाएंगे, Y train में भी 93 रहेंगे और X train में भी 93 रहेंगे. Only the thing is that हम लोगों ने दो कॉलम्स अलग से निकाले हैं. ईयर कॉलम आई हैव एक्सट्रैक्टेड इट इनटू अ डेटा फ्रेम कॉल्ड X, और जनवरी कॉलम को मैंने एक्सट्रैक्ट किया और उसको ये डेटा फ्रेम, नए डेटा फ्रेम Y में स्टोर किया. डू यू अंडरस्टूड इट नाउ?
Yes, sir.
Still have any problem? Who asked the question?
No, sir.
Krisha? Yes. No. Please don't take it personally. आपने क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहिए. You should understand this. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Very good question. And nobody asked me about this random state. So random state is actually, it ensures that for the next execution cycle, your output will remain same. Even if you do not specify, it doesn't matter. But generally, the value of this random underscore state, this parameter, is a non-zero value. Okay, so that many times it ensures that the output will be repeated. The same output will be repeated. You will get the same output. अदरवाइज क्या होगा, नेक्स्ट टाइम जब मैं स्प्लिट करूंगा, आई विल गेट अनदर 93 रोज, अनदर 93 सैंपल्स if I do not specify it. For the next execution cycle of this function, for this statement, I will get the different 93 samples. So if you want the same samples to be repeated for every execution cycle, you can specify this. Okay, is it okay? Is it okay? We are actually about to end of this script. Just last few minutes. So now we are going to build a linear regression model. First, we will create a linear regression model. So linear underscore model, this package we have used, if you remember here, we have imported this package here from scikit-learn library. So we are going to use this class linear underscore model, and this model, this class has different method. So it gives you the different linear models. It may be support vector machine, perceptron learning, kernel methods, and then another linear models like naive-Bayes classification, so on and so forth. Naive-Bayes classification, it's not a linear model, it's basically a probabilistic model. But all these support vector machine, perceptron learning, dual perceptron learning, so on and so forth, right? So all these models function are already built in there. So specifically, we are accessing the function linear regression. We are accessing the linear regression model from the linear model class. Okay? And we are storing that model into an object called LM. So I'll just run this line. Okay. So we'll just print this LM. So it will show you it is a linear regression function. So our model, linear regression model is there. So that means it has created that line which actually best fit the hyperplane, the instances on the hyperplane. Fine. Just keep this part as well and this part as well. Just clear the output. Okay, I'll just remember this. Now we have built a linear regression model. Okay. Now we have to apply this linear regression model on our train data set. Okay. So what I will do here is, okay, I'll just sorry. LM is equal to linear, was it? Okay, linear underscore model dot linear regression. So let's run this. Fine. Now we will try to apply this model on, so LM contains my linear regression model. So we will apply this model on our train and test data set, right? And we will using lm.predict is the function which predicts, the linear regression model predicts the value for x underscore train, comma, y underscore train. Okay, so let us run this. Two positional algorithm, but three were given. Okay, we have to say false. Mm, just click back. Thank you. One. We have to take both the data sets. How would it know? Yes. 10. Does it consider it as a dictionary? Okay, we'll do one thing. LM. It's I'll just check. Just wait. Just you also keep on trying.
Sir, the syntax is same, just they have taken small y instead of big Y. So we'll try like that.
Okay, okay, okay. No, no, but it should not give that. Yesterday I run the same script. It was showing actually. I made some changes, no doubt. Gen y3 termination coefficient. Repeat function. Yeah, it's done. Just give me a moment. I was giving the wrong name. Just a second. I'm just trying it again. Just to ensure. Yeah, done. Just a moment. Well, I'll just share the screen once again. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. That's great. Actually, I was just missing that function. Right. So, just to get the best fit linear regression line, I'm using this lm.fit function. So that gives me the best fitted line, best fitted linear regression line for this data set X train and Y train. So once we run this, Okay, that's great. So our model, our base fitted regression line has predicted the output for this X train and Y train, this training data set, and we are just displaying that now. It just shows the. Okay, I just model. Split. Just just now I have done it. It should show the values from the prediction actually. That is what I am expecting from this function. Just wait, I have to look back. Changing it again. There should be the predictions of all the samples in the object called pred or model, whatever you can say, but it should show all the predictions actually. Why it is not showing? I'll just share the screen once again. So we were here, we have splitted them correctly, then data not shared. I'll just remove this. have learned on this.
Sir, at the end you have not changed that LM to model.
So LM2 model. This one.
Below in PREDS, PREDS, there we have written LM dot predicts only.
LM dot predicts. Right. Okay. This is the model, right? And after that, very good. Now I will. Good. Understood. Now we have to uh, model dot predict train comma light train. Is it right now? This is what you are saying,
Yes, sir. Now maybe it will run.
but it's again it's saying that predict function it takes the two positional arguments, but three were given. That's what I'm not getting this. It's two positional algorithm. We'll just Google it. Let's see. Okay. So this function, it does not. There is no need to take the provide the second value. It will by default. This is that y values to predict. You don't need to provide the y values to predict. In fact, the purpose of training machine y given the input parameter x. Okay, fine. Just run it using this only x train. I'm not going to provide required positioning parameter. Predict function does. Yeah, done. So I'll show you fast now. uh, we were actually doing some mistakes that the predict function it do not accepts the it accepts only two parameters, and by default it will take the second parameter as the y train. So we do not need to specify the y train, only we need to specify the x train. Okay, that's why it was showing the error. You are giving three arguments, so the argument to the predict function is only one. So what we did, I'll just go back and I'll tell you. So we have built the linear regression model using this linear regression function. We have stored it here. Then to get the best fit linear regression line, we have used this fit function, and we have applied that function on this x train and y train, and we have stored it in the model. And using this best fit linear regression line, which is trained on this x train and y train, okay, we are predicting the result for only x train. Okay, so this is done. Now we will see what is there in the PREDS. Okay, so our model has predicted the average temperature for the first year, first first sample in the train data set. It was 23.72, and if we go back, I'll just show you what was there, what is the actual value. So we'll see that. So I have to show it for the y actually, sorry. So for y, the first value is 22.98, and what our model has predicted, 23.72. So it's very pretty close. For second, it is 22.44, and it has predicted, the prediction of our model is 24.29. So on. This is what the actually, there is a bit difference, and that results into error. Okay. So now what we will do, in the model, our linear regression model is built. It's fine, no problem. I'll just close this. Okay. Now we will try to predict the values for the test data set using our linear regression model. So either you can go for lm.predict, or you can also go for model.predict. Why? Because why model? Because model has the best fitted linear regression line. Okay, this object has the best fitted linear regression line. In LM, we simply have the linear regression line, but we don't know whether it is best fitted or not. So ideally, you can either go for best fitted, or you can simply take LM. So I will simply take a LM, and let's predict it. Even you can do it here also. There is no need to go here. You can simply come here and run. It will show you the result. So the results are same. So there is not much change. So I will keep the LM as it is. So lm.predict. Now we will predict the results for the X test data. So in X test, we have our test data samples. Okay. And we are not taking the y. We will actually predict the Y test values, and that Y test values are stored in the predictions. Okay. This object called pred, or you can call it as pred underscore test. So this is the prediction for the test data, and these are the prediction for train data sets. Okay. I'll just run it. Fine. Okay, no problem. So now everything is perfect. So now we'll predict the values for the test data set, and we will also see what is the R square error for the data set. So R square error, basically we know that it will show you the difference between actual values and predicted values. So in this data frame pred underscore test, इसमें क्या है? इसमें हमारा एक्स टेस्ट पे जो हमने मॉडल अप्लाई किया है, लीनियर रिग्रेशन मॉडल, और जो भी प्रेडिक्शंस किए हैं ये टेस्ट डेटा सेट पे, those predictions are stored here. Now the error is actually the difference between actual value and predicted value. So what are the actual values for this X test? All the actual labels of the X test, they are in the Y test, and we are taking the difference of Y test and the prediction of the model. So that gives you the R square error. So I'll run this.
Sir, there also predictors.
Yes, this is same thing. This is actually prediction for the uh, pred underscore test. We need it here. I just forgot. Thank you. Fine. So this is my R square error. So R2 underscore square. So this core function is used if you want to see what is the accuracy of your model. Okay. So R square is basically a error. Higher the R square, lesser is the accuracy of your model. So here you can see that the R square error is approaching towards 0. So it is 0.13. That means 13% is the R square error value. So it is pretty good, not too good, but not too bad. So it's average. So now if you want to interpret, I have shown you the linear regression equation line, that y is equal to mx plus b, or in the context of machine learning, we will write it as y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 into x. So beta 0 is actually intercept. So if you want to see what is the intercept, so just print intercept from lm.intercept. So lm.intercept, it will show you what is the intercept value of your linear regression model. So your linear regression line, it intercepts the y-axis at this point, 5.35 or minus 5.35, sorry. Then if you want to see what is the slope of the linear regression line, then you can use this function called lm underscore coefficient. And we are printing it as a slope. So slope of the line is basically 0.014 is the slope of line. So that is, this is beta 1 and this is my beta 0. And we know what is x and y. So y is my average temperature and x is the year. Fine. So now we will predict it for the test data. So the same thing I have shown here. Okay, this is the prediction for the X test data set. And if you compare this value with the Y test, then you will understand what is the difference. So these values I have already see these values in the Y test. Okay, so first value is 24.57, and yes, it is also predicted as 24.19. So bit difference. Sorry, this is the first value, 23.92, and here it is 24.19. So difference is the error. So it is very close to actually actual value for the first sample. For the second sample, it is 23.57. It is 22.61. So there is the error is bit larger, and so on. You can see the difference of all this. Now, how do I calculate this difference? That is what we are going to see in the next couple of minutes. So we will import the NumPy library. So, and we will use one more function called as mean squared error. Okay, well, so let us run these two libraries. Now, why I have called the NumPy library? Because I want to take the square difference of this actual and predicted. So this is prediction and this is actual. So 24 minus 24.19 minus 23.92 plus 22.61 minus 23.57. So on. So I want to take the square difference of all these test samples, and then I will take a mean of it. Okay. So to take the square of all these samples, first what I did is numpy dot subtract. So what I did using this subtract function, I took the difference between y test and y pred. Okay, y test इसमें क्या है, मेरे actual labels, actual values, and y pred is having the predictions of my classifier linear regression line. So take a difference of it, then take a square of that difference. Okay, ये सभी वैल्यू के लिए रिपीट होगा, all the 24 samples in the test data set, and then after that we took the mean of it, and here we can see we have calculated the mean square error. Do you understood how did we calculated the mean square error? First, we take a difference of all the samples. Okay, then take a square of that difference, and after that take a mean of that. So that will be mean square error. If you don't take a mean, then it will be simple sum of square error. Okay, and when you take a when you take a mean of that sum of square error, it will be called as a MSE, mean square error. So I'll just do it, and here you can see the mean square error for the first month is the 0.44. Okay, 0.44. Okay. So for the first January month, we have predicted these values for all the years, for all the test samples. These are the prediction of our classifier for all these test samples, and these are the actual values. And this is the mean square error made by our linear regression line for the given task for the January month. Okay, so this is the mean square error. So this is one way to calculate the mean square error. Another is you can directly use this function called as mean underscore square underscore error, and just pass the two data frames, y test and y pred, for which you want to calculate the mean square error. So I'll just simply, and it will also show you the same value, 0.44, and here also 0.4. In the same way, you can also calculate the mean absolute error. So for mean absolute error, I just directly took the function called mean underscore absolute underscore error, and to this function I have passed these two data frames, ytest and ypred, in which I have the prediction and the actual labels, and here you can see the mean absolute error. Okay. Same way, if you want to calculate the root mean square error, then you have to import the library called math, and then using this math dot square root, take a square root of mean square error, will give you the root mean square error. So I have directly printed it instead of showing it somewhere. So you can copy it in some variable. Okay, and then you can print, or you can simply just write down the name of that variable that also print it. So it will show you the root mean square error is 0.66. So now this is actually the last point that we come. So we have done the first two tasks. We have calculated mean square error, mean absolute error, R square error. We have applied the linear regression using suitable library function to predict the January month's average temperature. We came to the last point, that is visualizing the simple linear regression. So to visualize the simple linear regression, what we do is first we visualize the prediction of our model for the trained data set and then for the test data set. So plot.scatter, this function is used to create a scatter plot for the prediction of our linear regression model. To this function, we have passed the two data frames called xtrain, ytrain, which consist of my trained dataset samples, and the color of my samples, it will be black. Okay, whereas this plt.plot, which creates the plot, to this function we have passed our xtrain comma lm.predict x underscore train. So we have passed this entire function. The color of my linear regression line will be blue, and the width of the line will be 3. So you can increase this width whatever you want. I will just increase this width to 8, and then I will show you for 3. And this is again the plot title. This is x label, y label, and this is plot show command, which will show the plot on the output screen. So I'll just show you. So you can see. So these are my scatter plot. First, it will create a scatter plot. If I only run this line, then it will do not show you this blue line as well as this labels. It will only show you these dotted points on the hyperplane. So when you execute the second line, then it will generate this blue line on the hyperplane, and then the next things that it will give the label to the x, y, and title of the plot. Okay, so that's it for the trained data set. Same way you can also do it. I will show you. If I change this width of the line, then it will show you the width of the line is now minimized and it can be shown. So same way we have also predicted for the test data set. You can the same thing, only here now my input will be changed. It will be x test and y test. While prediction, we are passing the x test and we are predicting using the x test data frame. The color of the sample is black. Now line width is also 3. So my I have now changed the colors of my data points on the hyperplane with the red color, and the color of my linear regression line will be black. That's it. So these are my 24 samples on the hyperplane. This is my linear regression line, and you can see this point is called as, this is on the line. So the error made for these two lines, they are actually 0. Okay. However, the error made for these two lines, they are for this point, for this sample is very huge, and these 2 points, they are called as the outliers. You can see 1, 2, and 3. These 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 points, they are the outliers. They are far away from where the dense part of samples in the higher hyperplane. So that's it from my end. Do you have any doubt? You can ask the doubts. Otherwise, we will stop here. Yes? Any doubt? Any doubt? Purveer Singh, no. Okay, so shall we stop here? Now, I'll give you the task in the next turn, whenever your next practical turn is there, you have to show this prediction for the month May. We did this for January. We did this for January. You have to show me for the May. I'm going to check your output in the first turn of next practical, okay, and then we will start the third assignment. But in next practical, I'm going to check it. So you have to install this Jupyter, sorry, Anaconda. From Anaconda, you can launch your Jupyter notebook, import the data set from the Kaggle or from your local machine, and just do the same thing, build a linear regression model to predict the average temperature in the month of let's say May for all the years. सभी years का May month के लिए आपको average temperature predict करना है. Is it okay? Is it okay? I am going to see everyone's screen in the next turn, and then only I will start the third assignment. Otherwise, I will not go ahead unless I ensure that you are doing the practicals. Otherwise, I will, uh, you know, I will cut down your marks of implementation. Okay, so there is at marks for attendance, then implementation, and as well as all the tasks that I am giving you. If you are solving those tasks regularly, definitely you will get the full marks. Okay, so thanks a lot, and see you in the next lab session after the next week. Thank you. You can exit this meeting.